Hi everybody, this is Joe with the Technology Closet. We're going to go through a quick overview of system preferences on OS 10. Just a quick overview, show what's in there, what settings can be changed, and we'll go in depth on how to change those individual settings in another video. This is going to be real short and real sweet. So basically there's two ways to get into system preferences on the Mac. The first way is with the system preferences icon that's in the dock, which is right here. And the second way is via the Apple menu, and you can go into system preferences here. I usually leave the icon in the dock, so we'll go into it via the dock. And as you see, system preferences divided into several sections, and there are system preferences that can be added on after the fact. This is just basically what comes right out of the box after you do an clean install of OS 10. The first pane is first option here is General, and in here you can change the color for buttons and menus, highlight color when you highlight text, what color that is. Sidebar icon size. This will change usually in the Finder. This applies to the icons on the sidebar in the Finder. You can change how the scroll bars behave, and this section here is the new feature that was introduced in Lion and continued in Mountain Lion, where you will the system, when you shut it down or log out, it will remember what windows you had open, what applications you had open, and when you log back in, it will restart those applications right where you left off. It's a personal preference thing. I usually don't leave that on, and I usually turn it off. And then LCD smoothing for font smoothing for the monitors. You have navigation buttons at the top here, or the Show All button, which will bring you back to this main System Preferences screen. The next one over is Desktop and Screensaver. That's pretty self-explanatory. We'll go into it real quick. On one tab, you have the Desktop, which is your backgrounds. You can rotate the picture every 30 minutes or whatever. The Screensaver, similar deal. There are options as far as already in the system screensavers. You can actually have a message or random, all kinds of options in there. And we'll go back to the main. And then we have the dock preferences. This is going to control the size of the dock. And then magnification, whether the magnification feature, right now it's turned off. If I turn it on, you'll see as I hover over it, it gives this magnification effect to kind of make the icons jump out at you. I usually do leave that on and I just turn it down, but we'll turn it off for now. You can position the dock at the bottom, left or right. As you can see, it'll jump over to the right or the left as you leave it at the bottom. Minimizing effect. These are just eye candy, really. One thing that you can do here that's very useful is minimize windows into application icon. By default, when you have an application open and it minimizes, it will minimize over here near the downloads, documents, and trash. It'll actually put another icon here, and this will start to grow as you minimize applications. I usually turn that on so that when I minimize an application window, it actually minimizes into the icon. If I want to get back to it, I come down to the icon for the app and reopen the window. Mission control settings. There's quite a bit in here. We'll go over that in another video. Language and text. Again, this is the language and the text shortcuts. As far as these characters here, the copyright, registered trademark, etc., etc. What region you're in, United States, how you want your date format, your time format, your numbers format. Input sources for your keyboards, etc. Security and privacy. This is a good one. We have whether you want to require a password every time someone logs in. This is where you control File Vault, which we'll do another video on. A firewall, which we'll also do another video on. And the privacy settings for location services, contacts, and diagnostic information. Spotlight preferences. This will you can select what Spotlight actually indexes on the system. So if you have an external backup drive, for instance, and you don't want that indexed because it does take up some system resources while it's indexing, and it also could throw off your search results because you'll have multiple hits for certain files, one on the internal drive, one on the backup drive. You can actually exclude that, and that you would do that here in privacy. You would just add the location here that you don't want Spotlight to index. Notifications, what applications are involved in notifications and whether they're alerts, banners, or no notification at all. How long to show a notification center if you want to badge the icon with a number of how many notifications you have, and if you want to play a sound. There's a lot of information in there we'll go over. CDs and DVDs, what to do when you insert a DVD or a CD, whether to open an application, ask what to do, etc. Display preferences is where you would change your display resolution and the color space that you're using. Energy saver, how long to wait to put the computer to sleep, how long to put the display to sleep, whether or not to sleep the hard drives, and what action to perform when you push the power button. In this case, it's allow the power button to sleep the computer. So if you just momentarily press it, it'll sleep the computer. There's also schedule for rebooting. You can go down here and schedule it to wake up or go to sleep or reboot on a schedule, whatever you like. Keyboard is another one. How key repeat, delay until repeat. Just basically keyboard settings. A lot of times you can leave the defaults here. Mouse, in this case, since I'm in a VM, you're not going to see the fancy multi-touch gesture settings because this is a VM. But any general mouse that you would be using, you would have at least these settings in here: left or right for primary mouse button, double click, scroll direction. Depends on, this is new in line and mountain line, where if you're scrolling down, it would be like you pulling the page down, so the page is going to go down. So it's personal preference on those, and we'll demonstrate that later. Trackpad, if you have one, we don't have any, so you would set same type of settings here as a mouse, with the addition of all the multi-touch gestures and what they do. Printers, sound preferences. Again, where you want the sound to come out of, if you have multiple outputs on your machine, or USB speakers, as well as internal speaker, as well as line out. A lot of different settings there. Handwriting recognition. This is for more for if you have some kind of a touch interface, like a trackpad or a bamboo trackpad. Those will allow you to actually natural handwriting, and it would recognize and translate it into text. Here's your iCloud settings, which we'll go over in another video. Mail, contacts, and calendars. These are your accounts here that you would add. This is where you would add, once it comes up here. And just so you know, that spinning beach ball is the system thinking. There we go. Now, we have all these different kinds of accounts that you can add to the system. You can have iCloud, Exchange, Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, Yahoo, AOL, Vimeo, Flickr, all these ones from China, and of course you can add a custom account if you'd like to. I'll show you those in another video as well, in depth. Here's your networking settings for your Ethernet adapter or Wi-Fi adapter. Those would be displayed in here. How to set up the DHCP settings or IP addresses on it. Search domains. There's advanced settings down here, but we'll go into those in detail in another video. This is the sharing section here. This is where you would share the computer's name. You can edit the computer name, and why don't we do that now while we're sitting here, because it's not Steve's Mac. It actually is the technology closet, and we can change it here. There we Right now I'm not sharing anything. As you can see, none of these services are on, but you can do internet sharing. You can do remote login, printer sharing, file sharing. That's a big one. Screen sharing is another big one if you have multiple Macs in the house that you want to remotely access one from another room or something. So that's where you would do those on. We'll go over these again in another video. Users and groups. This is where you would add user accounts to the system and set up the user account settings, password, Apple ID, any login items, which we'll go over again in other videos. Parental controls. This is a big one. You can assign parental controls if for your kids, so they don't have the ability to open specific apps, or the apps that they do open, they're only allowed to open at certain time periods, or they're not allowed to install things, or they're not allowed to purchase things from the App Store. A lot of flexibility in there. Date and time settings, software update, which now if you hit this here, if you go into software update here, it will actually go into the Mac App Store, or the Apple App Store, I'm sorry, to perform the software updates. That is all incorporated now into the App Store. Dictation and speech, this is new. This will allow you to actually dictate to your computer, so you can, when crafting an email or writing something in a Pages document or a Word document, you can actually speak to your computer, and it will translate that fairly accurately to text. And then you just have little edits to make to correct some of the things where it didn't quite match what you spoke, and it's a great time saver for typing. Time Machine is the built-in backup mechanism. We'll demonstrate that in another video as well. There are plenty of accessibility options built into the operating system, and we'll demonstrate some of those in other videos. And Startup Disk. This is where if you have a CD that you want to boot off of, a bootable CD, or if you have an external drive with a bootable backup of your operating system and you want to boot to it. Say you've made a backup to that external drive prior to applying a software update to the operating system, and now when you reboot, your update to the operating system causes an issue. Something's not working, it's not booting, whatever, or your internal drive fails. That's another scenario. In here, you can go in, more so than anything else, you can go in, and if there were other bootable drives, you could select the drive and restart to it. Or if you had an older version, if you're doing an upgrade from 10.7 to 10.8, and you had an external drive with 10.7 on it, and you wanted to boot back into that for whatever reason, you could select that drive here, and then just hit restart, and it will boot off of that other one. So that basically is system preferences. Again, you can add other ones. There are other plug-in system preferences that you can download and install, and we'll go over those at another day, another video. Again, as always, please give us feedback. We can be reached at feedback@thetechnologycloset.com, and we'll see you next time.